This is a regular scheduled meeting of the Franklin Township Environmental Commission in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231. Adequate notice of this meeting has been posted. Roll call: Maria Santiago Valentin, Robin Sudan, not here. Arnold Smith.
Here.
Stan.
Here.
Walter Andrews, I'm here. Paul Walensky.
I'm here.
Ted Chase.
Here.
Jessica Johnson. All right. So I called everybody's name, and we have 4 members here, I believe. Okay. If we look at the agenda, in terms of the chair report, don't have a lot. We are preparing for the Environmental Stewardship Awards, and it's always good that we can come up with candidates. There were a couple of years, I remember, for whatever reason, we might have had one, we might not have had the other. But to go before council and have those people recognized is always good. So we're looking forward to, and we have a report later on this year's awardees. And as I mentioned before, I'm always looking for something that we as an environmental commission can do in such a way that it can be recognized, and in addition to taking care of the regular business. And one little item I thought of was a rain garden map, which should be easy to do. So I don't know how possible that is, but I certainly encourage you all to think of projects and ideas and things that certainly we can do that will be useful to the township and bring us some recognition in addition to what we do, in terms of some of the other work. Okay. The minutes of the October 4th meeting, you have them. And thank Paul for doing the initial cut of them and the back and forth, but it looked like it finally got done.
Yes.
All right. So can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay.
I second it.
Been moved and second that the minutes from the October 4th meeting be approved. All in favor, let it be known.
Whoa, Walter.
Oh, yes.
Couple of comments.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Discussion after the first and second. So even though I wasn't at the October 4th meeting, I feel a need to comment on 2 portions of the minutes.
Okay.
Both on page 1, paragraph 4, if anybody has them in front of them. So at the very beginning of paragraph 4, it says, Mark Healy is working on the ordinance for implanting idling regulations. I believe that should say for enforcing idling regulations. I'm not sure where the word implanting comes from unless I'm missing something.
It might have been a typo that I didn't pick up.
Okay.
I think because it was a real word.
Right. That's very possible. So the second part of it comes right after that, where it says, let me just see, states, quote, A. Schmidt wanted to enlarge this beyond warehousing and has written to council to this effect, end quote. So although I prepared a few emails regarding the proposed motor vehicle idling ordinance that were sent to the council, they were written with the understanding that what was stated in these communications was that of the sentiment of the Environmental Commission. It was the Environmental Commission's sentiment, I thought, that we wanted to go beyond just warehouses. Therefore, unless you all believe that not to be true, I think the minutes should read, the Environmental Commission wanted to enlarge the scope of the idling ordinance to beyond just warehouses. You know, we were talking about strip malls and
We move on that.
schools and things like that. Pardon me?
Not that I disagree, but did we move on it as a commission?
No,
I don't know if we moved on it.
I
I'm
don't
not
think we
sure.
did.
I don't know if that's relevant. It's something that we discussed. So it's not necessarily, I don't believe it's a matter of moving on it. It's a matter of, these were communications, at least one of which came from Walter, something that I had written, but it came from Walter to the council that talked about making it more than the warehouses. And it talked about convenience stores and the possibility of cars being stolen and the possibility of cars having children in them. But it was more than just that. So whether it was moved on or not, it was something that we discussed, and it was something that we had talked about, that we thought it was a good idea. So, I mean, if you want to leave it as that it was just me that wanted to enlarge the scope, then that's fine. But that does not coincide with what the discussion was and the agreement as to whether there was somebody moved and seconded it. You know, that's up to you guys. I'm just bringing that to your attention. It's up to you as to whether you want to make it the Environmental Commission wanted this or Arnie Schmidt wanted this.
Well, isn't the real matter, what exactly did you write?
Well,
I don't know that I have the text to hand, perhaps.
And we didn't either.
You know,
I
think-
believe
Ted, I
I
think
bel-
with you, I think you're the one that gave me that line to put in the minutes.
Email,
well, here's an email here
councilman.
that I can read to you. And this is from Walter to the mayor and the whole council. And it says, we recently learned the township is taking our recommended motor vehicle anti-idling initiative a large step further. We have been advised that our DPW is in the process of making new anti-idling signs to be installed in all of our public parking areas throughout the township. Manager Vornlocker indicated that if we're going to require motor vehicle no idling signs for new commercial development, we should lead by example, which we agree is the perfect leadership approach. We believe these new anti-idling signs will help educate our residents. And this, I'm trying to get to a part where it talks about this. This could also be a stepping stone for the council to require that eventually all commercial establishments with dedicated parking areas, including convenience stores, grocery stores, and shopping centers, as well as schools where buses are frequently observed idling for lengthy times, be required to install these signs throughout their parking and waiting areas. We hope this will be considered as part of the amendment to the development ordinance. So I jumped over a couple of things and I didn't read you the last paragraph or so, but that's the meat of it there, where that email from Walter, of course, I had put the email together, but it came from Walter, went to the council, and it talked about expanding
I
beyond
recall
warehouses.
this meeting, this letter. It was quite a while ago, correct?
This was August 17th was when Walter sent that email.
Did we all get copied on that letter?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But it wasn't part of the minutes of the meeting because it didn't occur as we took the minutes. That's why it's not there.
Look,
I think
I mean, however you want to
the-
do it, you know.
I'm just bringing it up because
It is
you're saying that
reference.
you're saying that I wanted this, and
Yeah,
I'm
well,
saying I believe it was the whole
council.
environmental commission wanted
Right.
it. If you want to leave it at I wanted it, it's up to you. So
I think it must have been referenced in some of the prior meetings, right? Since
Maybe.
August 17th.
Well, you know, when it was mentioned about idling was when the proposal came about the 15 buses. that were parked, they want to park in this area over by Eastern Avenue. And that was one of the things we said there, is it should have no idling and no maintenance, that kind of thing. That's where part of the no idling signs, that's the first time I think we had really zeroed in on something like that.
Well, it also came up when we got a complaint, and that was, I think, 2 meetings or 3 meetings ago, whenever it was, from Mrs. Grundfest, who had contacted the township. Bob Warnlocker sent it to us, and I was asked to respond to that, and I sent the email back to her explaining to her, yes, the Franklin Township police will take care of things like that, as Bob Warnlocker had said, but also the county health department
That I
will.
remember.
And I gave her the county health department's phone number, daytime and after hours phone number. She said, thank you. The county health department has been very helpful in many things. I responded back to her and other people. And then I also made some other comments, forwarding some of those to Walter, Ted, the mayor, and others, where I think I again might have spoken about the convenience stores and the cars, idling and people just leaving them with kids in them and stuff like that. And in that one, the more I remember, I also sent a link to a study that had been done a couple of years ago talking about stolen cars. And this is just a breeding ground, convenience stores for where cars are idling and where they've had many instances of children, of idling cars being stolen with children in them. So there were several different ones. So again, it's up to you guys how you want to do it. I wasn't at the last meeting, but I saw that in there, and whether you want to change it or not, that's up to you.
What's in the minutes is what I said at the last meeting, and that may well be incomplete.
Okay. So can we,
We can modify it. This is the time to do it if we're gonna modify the minutes.
Well, I wasn't at the meeting, so the one thing that does need to be done is take out implanting and put enforcing. The other one is up to you guys. I wasn't at that meeting, and I don't know if that means if you're taking into consideration things that have been done, said in the past also. So you guys decide.
I'm just trying to find a reference to this letter in some of the previous minutes since August 17th, and I cannot find it. Because if that would be the case, we could as well say it has been covered and we don't need to make the reference. But
I don't think it was.
Yeah.
I don't think Stan, you'll be able to find it.
Mm.
all right, let's give it another minute, but if not, I'm certainly, there's no question about the correction of the word, but to say the environmental commission.
So I see in meeting minutes, August 16th, A. Schmidt read to the commission his proposed letter to mayor and council about no idling signs. Bob Warnlocker is having such signs installed at all township parks. Then he moved approval of this letter. SRH considered the observations about possible theft of vehicles left idling to be a distraction. He mentioned that Tesla vehicles not only can run the air conditioning, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
It was Arnold's letter that we approved at that meeting.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't approve it. He's already sent it.
The letter was approved for sending, right?
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I wonder whether it would be duplicate information if we try to make a reference in those meeting minutes. What is, do we have opinion on that, like that we can completely take it off, that sentence?
Yeah, if you want to, that's, you know.
I'm just saying, because it could be a duplication.
Well, now you're taking something off that if you're going to take it off completely, I think that takes away the message that the Environmental Commission is pushing for. And I think Ted said that that was something that he
Arnold,
talked about.
what you're asking really is just change Arnold Schmidt, A. Schmidt to the EC, and that would make the change.
That to me would make sense.
I
Because
don't
I'm
have
not,
any problem with that.
because, well,
I would
I
say,
wouldn't say something about, well, I would say that. I take that back. I would say I wanted to enlarge the scope of the idling.
Yeah.
And it was my impression that because of the other communications that we had, that the Environmental Commission was in agreement with that.
Mm. Okay, the message about Mark Healy working on the enforcement came from whom during that meeting? From Ted?
Yeah,
Probably Ted.
it's in the minutes because I said it at the.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tried to reflect what was said.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, fine.
Okay, if you want, since Stan has found reference that the commission specifically approved such a letter, I think you could make the wording, Arnold Schmidt has sent the commission approved letter in support of broadening the
Okay.
scope of
Oh,
idling.
so
Well,
are
actually,
we talking about some additional
because
letter?
actually Walter sent the letter.
It was under Walter's name.
Yeah, it was under
That
Walter's
would be-
name as the chair. You know, it went out under Walter's name.
I just thought I remembered something arriving at council over your name. Maybe you,
Yes,
Right,
there was-
that's-
there
that's
was
why I
other
put it in.
thing- Yes, you're right, Ted. There were two, at least one, maybe two other things. The one thing definite was the one in response to Ms. Grundfest. That I
yeah,
followed. There was a couple of follow-up emails that went to a couple of people on this commission and the mayor and Warren Locker and other people, a couple of other people.
Oh, yeah, I just found my note in where I typed the minutes from, and it says Mark Healy is working on the ordinance for I meant implementation or.
Implement,
That-
okay,
that-
That's the word I wanted.
implementing, okay,
Yes.
so
I can't read my
implementing
own
would be,
writing.
yeah, implementing would make sense also.
That's the word I had there. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that would, implementing is just, that's probably better than enforcing, yes,
Right.
implement, because you can't enforce a regulation that's not on the books yet.
Right, so it was implementing. Now I read it, I see what it is.
Right. That makes
And
sense.
then I wrote, A. Schmidt wanted to enlarge this beyond warehousing and has written counsel to this effect. That's what came from Ted.
yeah.
So that's how we ended up with what we did end up with.
I apologize. I wasn't at the meeting. I didn't
Yeah.
anticipate this taking up 15 minutes of the meeting to get this done.
Right,
So, it's up to you guys what you want to do. It's not a big deal.
Well,
you're the chairman,
Okay.
Walter, make a decision.
no, I think it is true that the commission certainly was in agreement with what
Yes.
Arnold had proposed and we had
Right.
discussed. So wouldn't seem incorrect to say the commission rather than just Arnold.
Mhm. Okay,
If you
make
if
the
that's
change.
the-
That's not
the
a PDF. We can make the change easy.
Okay, if that's a general consensus, we'll move on.
Well,
But,
ask for a vote and we'll vote.
all right. So we want for the two changes or just the one? Make a motion.
I'm making a motion, we change the wording to implementation instead of enforcement and say, maybe say Arnold Schmidt on behalf of the commission. Just add one.
It's exactly what I was writing into my copy.
Oh, okay, so we're on the same page or the same paragraph.
Okay,
How's that, Arnold? That works for you?
Works for me.
Okay,
all
It's
right.
fine.
Okay,
I
now,
got a second?
before we go any
Okay.
further, on the second page under stream cleanup 2022, will consider later. T. Chase suggested editing of possible groups to work with. I can't have said editing. I don't know exactly what I did say, but
No,
recruiting.
let me see if I can find that. Oh, affordable housing, no, that's something else.
Where are you looking on page 2, Ted?
Stream cleanup 2022.
Did I put something in on that?
Just
Down at the bottom of the
suggested
page.
maybe
Page 2.
adding
Second
of
page,
possible
12.
groups. Ted, you have the problem with the word editing?
Well, editing would be removing possible groups from a list. and
Right,
I-
right. So maybe adding, no? Addition of possible groups to work with
I was going to
as
suggest recruiting other groups.
recruiting.
Although adding would have been what I said at the time.
Oh, stream cleanup. Ted suggests some editing. I did put down editing, yeah, to add contacts for the, oh, editing the, whatever the lecture was. I had,
Maybe
that
addition.
needs a picture, that's on the side note I wrote. I didn't put that in. Please review checklist, Tara. So, Tara will edit the plan and review the checklist. Okay.
All right, so the correct or more accurate wording would be edit to add, right?
Yes, edit to add is what I had down here, you
Yeah.
know, in my handwritten notes.
So what is it that we're editing?
Contacts list for the stream cleanup. Who-
I think
who-
it's too complicated. Just say adding or recruiting.
That's all, okay.
All right,
Yeah,
all right. All right, so those are three
Right.
changes, if you want to call it that. Are there any others that anyone caught? You have any more, Ted?
I don't have any more.
Okay. So essentially,
For environmental justice, T. Chase, and you've got a comma rather than a period.
Oh, that's,
okay. All right. Anything else?
oh, it's November 23rd. I see, here's the date.
So can we move to, I mean, we already
Okay,
moved and
so
seconded, but, or do we need to
It-
move second again?
It's been moved and second that the change the word to implement and to honor on behalf of the Environmental Commission. And then when it came to stream cleanups, it was edit to add. Was that right?
Yeah,
And then there was a comma rather than the colon later. Okay, so Paul, you've noted all those changes?
I'll do them. I was just saying, as maker of the motion, I accept the changes. And
Okay.
then we don't have to vote again.
All right.
Move that the minutes be accepted with corrections.
That's what.
Okay,
that's okay.
all right. It's been moved and seconded that the minutes from October 4th be accepted with corrections.
Okay,
All
and
in favor?
I'll work up the corrections and get Tara, Tara, you can make the changes?
I'm sorry, what exactly do I make the changes to?
There's three things that we just discussed, changing that enforcement to implementation.
Or change?
Change
Paul,
it.
why don't you just send them to Tara?
I'll send them, Tara, I'll send them to you.
Yeah, if you do that and then I can get them posted.
Okay, right.
Okay. All right, so all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye,
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. And abstain?
I will abstain
Okay.
because I was not at the meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the
Participated in correction.
Okay.
So you should agree.
Well,
I wish I could, but it would not be legal for me to vote since I was not there. Well, I am
So
voting.
you
with
You
an
actually
abstention.
can vote
I'm
as
voting
long
with
as
an
you can say
abstention.
you've reviewed them.
Right, yes.
okay. So I heard that the ayes have it. So thank you very much. And let's go on to the next item here. I guess we opened the meeting for public
No,
discussion.
nobody's there.
Nobody's there,
Okay,
Nobody's there.
so there's
we
no
don't have
need to open the.
interact.
Do we still have to open and close, if nobody's there?
I don't think
Okay.
so.
Make a note that because nobody was there, we did not open the meeting for public discussion, and we went on
Right.
to the next item.
okay.
The Franklin Reporter is conducting a show of the Democratic candidates for council, so that's
Yes,
why.
it's at the same time tonight, yep.
You can't be two places at once. All right. All right, if we go on down to website, email, social media, Jessica is not here. I don't know if she shared anything or anybody knows anything under this particular item. All
No.
right.
Yep.
All right. So let's move on to the next item. I know, Paul, you had shared something regarding plan review, and you and Tam
Yes.
can share
Okay.
that with us. Yeah.
Yeah, there are two plans that were posted. The first one, let me get to my notes here.
And thanks, Paul. I noticed that you did send out where anybody else wanted to log in and look at those, you know, they had a chance to do so. Maybe we can.
Yeah, I sent them out to, well, the reason we sent them today is because they were only posted this morning.
I know. Yeah,
So
you would have
I
gotten
know
out
nobody
early.
had much time to look at things, you know.
All right. Mhm.
But, so I'll review in case people did not get a chance to look at it. Arnold, Stan, did you get to see
I
those at
did.
all?
I did, and
You did.
yeah, it looked very good.
And I noticed when you looked at the plans, they were studiously avoiding the wetlands and the barrier along the stream. There's a stream that goes
Yeah,
through the property.
I didn't go into the
Randolph
actual
Brook.
details. I just went through your
Brook, yes,
description, and
Randolph Brook.
I thought that that was sufficient for me.
Yeah,
Which property was this, Paul?
this is the American Water Company on Randolph. I've driven past it many times, but never realized what it was. It's a water treatment plant for New Jersey American Water Company.
So what are they
And it's
doing
actually for
there?
Elizabeth Watertown.
What are they doing there?
They're purifying the water for drinking water.
No, I mean, what is the
They're
application
adding,
for?
they're gonna add solar cells on the roofs of the buildings, on a large ground array, and they're gonna put solar cells over their parking lot.
Wow.
So they're not cutting down any trees to do
They are
this.
cutting down some trees, but they're replanting. Because there was a note from Mark Healy, or whoever has looked at it, that said it was a mention about replanting. The 4 lots that they're using for the solar array, 3 are what they call fallow, so it's just grass and shrubs. 1 said forested, but from the look of the aerial, there's not a lot of trees, but there are some. And so they'll just replant in other areas.
They installed some solar cells years ago.
Uh-huh,
I remember they were in some hurry to get approval because they were getting a grant in support of this.
yeah.
I don't remember how many years ago, but I bet it was at least 10 years ago.
And solar cells have gotten a lot more efficient. And this is, the company they're doing with is out of state somewhere. Maryland, down, you know, it's south of us, or Pennsylvania maybe. But it's an extensive array. And so that's one that is 65, they got 90 acres there. And they got, 3 fallow and 1 forested. So that's one of them. And there's not much other than praise. And, you know, I don't know what else to say.
In terms of the replanting of the trees, did they
Ernie, I think you're
specify?
on mute. No?
Yeah, I am. Yes, I unmuted myself. Thanks, Dan.
I'm
I was
sorry.
just saying that I think that's a good thing, that there's nothing else to say.
Yeah, yeah, okay. There's a second plan. St. Peter's Hospital has a vacant second floor on their property on Eastern Avenue. And they need a variance to put a medical, sports medicine and physical therapy on the second floor. The building was used originally for some other part of it, but the way the original thing was, approval was done for the building, they have to come for a variance to change the use on the second floor. And they also wanted to reduce the parking where it said they needed 146 spaces, they only need 76. So that's part of their variance. The question I raised, and I think I know what, I think the answer, because it's an existing building, I don't think they have to add electric car chargers. I mean, we could recommend it while they're doing it, but I don't think.
Are they actually reducing the parking area, or
Yes.
they?
Yes.
So what will happen with the parking area after they
Well,
reduce?
I don't know. They don't need 146 spaces based on their traffic studies and how many people are gonna come and that kind of thing.
Ted, I
think
cannot.
they're just asking for approval of the existing parking space. Is that not it?
I think that's what it is, yeah.
Incidentally, in front of that, there's a small area that I've always looked at as a perfect place for a rain garden.
Oh,
Now, they evidently allow people to park in that St. Sarbel's parking lot, and the parking lot allows their people to, they have a reciprocal agreement that the adjoining properties can share parking also. That was in the application.
Yeah, so that's why they don't need as many parking spaces as they might otherwise.
Yeah, yeah. Now, but that church is getting demolished and rebuilt. That was one of the applications that's been on hold for the council for a long time. That's the Mormonite church.
I can say I've been to
Maronite,
St. Peter, that St. Peter's property many times for different situations.
Can you
And,
remind me where on Easton it is?
It's just up, it's the second block up from Franklin Boulevard, going north.
Yes, where if you made a left, you're on Franklin Boulevard. If you go right, you're on Franklin Boulevard. If you make a left, you're going to Landing Lane.
Albany Regional Eye Surgery Center?
Yeah, I think so. It says, sports medicine and physical therapy. I forget what was on the first floor, but that just stayed what it was.
The PT, the physical therapy, is on the first floor, as I recall. And the eye surgery, as I recall, is on the second floor.
Okay,
Well,
so I'm looking at the map.
that moved someplace else. That's why the second floor is empty.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
looking.
from my going there for several different situations, I can tell you that when I was there was always plenty of parking places.
Yeah.
I never saw that place filled up.
Yeah.
So the question is, and I think somebody asked this, but I didn't hear the answers. What's happening to those parking places? Are they going to go from impervious to pervious?
No, I don't think that.
No,
I don't.
that space, that area, I think currently has 67 spaces.
76. So it just stays the same. Probably
Because
on paper, it
there
was
is-
required to have 146, and they don't. So they need the variance to,
Because there is no room for so many parking spaces.
Right.
Gotcha.
They would have to
Gotcha.
make a deck.
Yeah, and nobody's going to do that for this.
Yeah, well, if they want to have efficient solar system, they would need to chop down some trees that shade it.
Yeah, but that's not what they're asking in this one. This is a very simple application, this one.
It's the kind of thing you usually put down, no environmental considerations.
Yes.
so is that what
And
you,
to Ted's comment about rain garden, I know that properties on slope, they could squeeze here next to
No, I
Easton.
think if I remember right, and I'm remembering from years ago, whenever we first approved this use of that building, I think the parking lot sort of slopes toward it. And I think there's probably a drain that goes under Eastern Avenue.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
is.
it slopes towards the Eastern Avenue.
Yeah,
So those are the only two plans.
well, I would say that if you see a space on the plan where they could put a rain garden, you can, I would
We
say,
can suggest it,
put a rain garden. It doesn't mean they have to,
right.
but
I
it's.
just realized I scrambled the information from the previous project about the solar coverage.
Oh, right.
No, no,
No
no.
problem.
It-
They're about a mile apart from each other, maybe
yeah,
2 miles.
That's coincidence, but
What?
there is no word about solar, right, for this project.
No,
They just,
this
they
one,
just-
the solar is only for the water company.
okay. So the question was whether they need to have the chargers. I
yes.
think that it is doesn't apply because it's not,
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Just as usual, we can recommend to install some.
Yeah,
We can make a
I can-
reference to the new EV ordinance and tell them that they missed by a hair, maybe, which is just not true. But anyway,
I mean, it's not
they
new
have-
construction. That's the whole point.
No,
yeah.
Okay.
really,
If you're done with those, just one other thing. So this Thursday, I believe the zoning board is meeting, and on their agenda is the Databag One Vignon Institute property on
Yeah.
South Middle Bush Road. And I've heard that this might be the final meeting regarding this this application. I have another commitment, so I will not be able to attend it. But see what happens as to whether
With
this
your
is the
rotten
final or not.
eggs, right?
Pardon me?
You wanted to attend to protest, I guess, right?
No, I didn't. I've already had my say.
Mm.
I just wanted to see how it goes and what happens. And whether they approve it or not, from what Ted tells us, even if they approve it, it might still need to receive approval from the DEP.
Okay.
And they would have to have the charging stations because it's new.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That hasn't even been raised, but then,
Is the case, or because they submitted application before the EV ordinance, they are exempt?
yeah, you can't retro, yeah. It's ipso facto. You can't go back and say, hey, you needed this, there's a new reg. They have to be bound by the date when the application was submitted. The
Ah,
conditions when this application is submitted.
hmm.
That, we had that with the stormwater regs.
But for future reference, just because somebody submitted something after that was approved, it doesn't mean that we can still make a recommendation.
You can always make a
Follow it, but we
recommendation.
can Still make a recommendation.
That's not sufficient.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that completes my part of the,
Okay, the review.
minutes of the, agenda.
Okay. All right. Well, good. So you will
I'll write them up.
send it to Christina, right?
I will.
Okay. All right. If everybody's in agreement, we'll go on to the next part of the agenda. Just I made one observation regarding charging stations at I'm sorry, Quick Checks. You know, the new Quick Check on Easton.
Right. They don't have charging stations.
They don't have it, and the one on Hamilton Street does not. However, on what's that? Going into North Brunswick over to Route 1, that Quick Check does, and that's I'm it's sort of curious why the ones in Franklin Township do not, and that one does, but they certainly have
Does
a lot
it?
more space over there.
Which
was
quick check are you
by
talking about,
today.
Walter?
The one on what's the street once you cross 27 on Veronica?
Jersey
Oh.
Avenue?
No,
Oh,
no.
where the three gas stations are, one on each
Yeah,
corner.
yeah. If you go down to the right, opposite where PSE&G has some buildings.
It's the Jersey Avenue, no?
Yeah,
No,
it is.
that's,
It is.
no,
It
that's
is.
Route 27.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if you
That's
go
right.
all the way down by Jersey Avenue, that's not Franklin Township anymore.
No, that's what I said. North Brunswick. Yeah, they do. However, the two in Franklin Township do not. Yeah, so
That
So
could be
maybe-
separate owners. I think, is that franchising?
I don't know. But I did notice that. You know. Anyway,
The one on Eastern Avenue at 287, when they came before the Historic Commission, which they had to because they were within 1,000 feet of the canal, I specifically suggested that they put in the highest level charging station,
The rapid charging station. Yes, I remember that.
no, right
And
off
they didn't.
7. I mean, it wasn't anything you could force them to do, but it would have been a perfect place for it.
now is it possible that they might have some of the initial infrastructure there, and they are going to complete it later? We wouldn't know unless we talk to the township or somebody else. But all right, I just want to make that observation for our information. If we go to new business, MS4 stormwater grant process, I know Stan and Tara, this is part of the storm drain, adopt the storm drain program. Could you just share that with us? Where are we there?
So I did have a meeting with the Public Works Committee of the council last week, specifically to talk about the adopted drain program. So I went over the benefits, how the program would work, which I know I've described to you guys in the past, but it would basically be completely administered by Hamline University, and they are the group that started this. They create a website specifically for us. They create GIS mapping data, which they keep updated on the website, which is live. The reporting goes directly to them, and they maintain that data in a database that we have access to. And we can basically manipulate the data to really review. We could look at non-point source pollution sources. We can look at what type of debris has been picked up, how many people are involved. There's a whole series of data we'll have access to. Hamline also sends out all the administrative welcome packets and signage to the adopters. We don't have to do that at all. And they also prepare a report for us annually based on the parameters that we give them. So we have an annual report of exactly what we want. So they really run the entire thing for a fee. And so I described that in detail to the Public Works Committee, and they all seem to be in approval of it. So Bob Vornlocker had asked that I reach out to Hamline University to get the documents that we would need to start the process going with them. So they did send me a contract and some information that they would need for data to start it going. So I have to get that to Bob because I just got it so that he can review it, our attorney can review it. And if we are able to enter into contract with them, once the full council approves it and all the documents are signed, then Hamline can start designing our website and we can kind of get up and running with the program. So now we're to the point where we really just need the full council approval and we need to just get, the actual contract completed. And Ted was there too. I don't know if anything happened after that, Ted, or if you had anything to add.
All I would add is that while Councilman Vasanello kept saying that he supported this, the way he kept asking questions, it sure didn't sound that way. I began to say things under my breath about him.
What type of questions, Ted?
Oh, mostly about how is this going to save us money? And Bob
my goodness.
said, listen, this will do things the township cannot afford to do with paid personnel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. He did have a question about, he was basically saying, because me and Carl discussed it before I even discussed it with Bob Vornlocker, because I wanted to get his read on it to see if this is something that Public Works would actually find beneficial. And he right away said, yes, he thought it would, because in the end, it probably costs a lot more to send out 2 employees to clean 1 storm drain every time it gets clogged. On top of it, we have over 7,000 storm drains in the township, and DPW cannot clean all of those. So there are some that are not getting cleaned. The ones that are only getting cleaned when they are in like need of it, basically. So Councilman Vasanella did have questions about, is it actually going to save us money rather than just having our own DPW do it? And basically the answer was it would be an impossibility to have DPW to do it, because that would be a full-time job basically for someone. So
Sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
My point was that it should save by reducing the frequency with which DPW has to clean out the catch basins that are under the grates. which
right.
they do have to do from time to time.
You're absolutely right about that. And the other great thing is, we don't have to have our IT department upkeep the website and post things for us. They will handle that. We don't have to, have someone mailing out these adopter packets. They take care of that. We get access to a whole system of database that we would never normally have. And after having this database for 10, 20 years, you can really examine impacts to the waterways and savings and improvements for our MS4 permitting process. So I think it seemed like it definitely would move forward. So I got the documents that have been requested, and we just need to get the final approval, and then we can get it going.
Tara, I raised a question with Ted, and he thought it was an interesting question. Here in Canal Walk and in Somerset Run and Run, we have storm drains also. We have 3 pumping stations.
Mm.
Will this cover them, or are we outside the system?
No, it can cover them. That's the nice thing about the way that they set up the live map and the website. We can include streets and we can exclude streets too. So we would definitely include the storm drains that are in those developments. We would exclude storm drains that are on, Easton Avenue, for example, or anywhere where it's like a danger for someone to go out or there's no shoulder.
Oh, yeah, but in a residential area, it'd be perfect.
Yeah, so those we can make sure they're included, which is a nice thing instead of just, not putting them in. So yeah, we can absolutely do that.
Oh, that would be nice, because I could probably get local involvement here through the men's club.
Absolutely. And then
Okay.
the nice thing too is, some of your neighbors see you doing that, and then maybe some of your other neighbors want to participate, and the same thing seems to happen. Girl Scout troops can adopt them, Boy Scouts,
Yeah.
all kinds of people. So
We've done that with the trees on property, where we put
I
things around the trees to protect them from the deer.
Mhm.
I think the devil's argument is that if people don't buy into it, then it's like a waste of effort. But
Yeah.
I'm not the devil to stress out this argument. Our
Yeah.
role is to promote it, and period.
Mhm.
Well, and that's the thing that I did say at the committee, is that the Environmental Commission, even open space, we can make an effort to really promote it. And everywhere else it is. In Westfield, it's pretty successful. Out in Minnesota, it's very successful. There's
Okay,
over
this is
3
good
million.
reference, yes.
Yeah, there's over 3 million adopters. So it's a successful program, and they know how to run it in a way that really promotes it. And we just have to take basically the template that they give us and put it on social media, or make print out the flyer. So it really saves a lot of that time.
Okay.
that sounds good. Absolutely.
Tara, you are
so
very well prepared for the worst devil.
Right.
I'm not sure whether I made the worst argument, because I came up with this idea actually. So of course I would
Yeah.
not be good a candidate to make a counter argument.
Yeah, I think it's going to work out. I really do. I think a lot of people want to do it. And I think when other people see people doing it, they're going to want to do it
Exactly.
also.
Yeah. And people may share on social media, hey, I cleaned up my, and I got my certificate, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So that's self-promoting. So
Yeah. Yep.
Wonderful, wonderful. I don't think we've quite since I've been on the commission, had a program that somehow the city, the township and the environmental commission came together to make it happen in such a way. And we're fortunate to have the university there who has the program, and they do all the work and they have the template and we just buy into it. I don't see why more townships and cities haven't done that. Maybe they will pick up momentum, but I'm very happy we are in this place. Thank you.
Yeah, it'll
All
be
right.
good. So I'll keep you, hopefully we can move it along quickly. So I'll
Yes.
keep you posted.
Okay.
This is something, I think when we get it started, maybe the township can put out a news release about it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Beyond putting it on social media and
The
so.
Franklin Reporter and Advocate.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll
Absolutely.
definitely push it. We will push it on the website, news release, Nixle, social media, everything.
I'll talk to management here because I don't think our landscaping people clean the drains, but they do all the leaf blowing and gathering and that kind of stuff.
Oh,
The
yeah,
one
that's another good one. Yeah.
difficulty might be that the drains within Canal Walksay probably are not on the township's maps of drains.
Right.
It
I mean,
may-
we've got a couple miles of streets here in Canal Walk.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really good. So keep you posted as it moves along, but it's definitely going, already met with the committee of the council, so we are on our way.
All right. All right. B, the next item is, I put it on the new business to see, I believe, Tara, did you, I thought you said that you would take an initial look to see if there is information about the location of current rain gardens in township.
I have a meeting with our GIS staff person. His name is AT. So I'll be meeting with him next week. We do have the locations of rain gardens that are on our like township open spaces. If we want to include other, or if people have rain gardens on commercial properties or things like that we don't know of, that's what I'm meeting to kind of talk to him about and see how do we get that data? Does he know of a database? So I do have a meeting with him next week to go over that, and I'll let you know how, what we have.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Okay. The next item under the recent business, we still list the environmental justice and the permitting process, and I believe, as I remember, Mark Healy's statement that essentially, and I believe Ted's observation, that since we have no environmental justice areas per se, correct me if I'm wrong, that
Walter, we discussed that before. Can we move
yeah,
to the
okay,
next
so
one?
we can move on.
I think somebody said that we do have areas that could be considered environmental justice areas. The question may be, well, are they zoned for industry or, but
Okay,
plus this is really a matter of state permits, not,
all right.
Yes, and we said
Okay.
that before. So
yeah.
also
Okay, and
discussed the model EV charging station ordinance, right? There is no update.
okay, and environmental stewardship awards, I know we got a report on that already.
Yeah, I want to make one comment. I see we've got down November 23rd to be the day that it would be presented at the council meeting.
Yes.
I'm gonna be in Florida that day.
Oh,
We're going down to Orlando for the whole week.
okay.
So somebody else will have to be there representing.
Is it going to be in person?
Yes,
Yes.
I'm usually there, and Ted's usually there.
Right, okay,
And others are certainly the awardees and others.
yeah.
Well, how is it in person if the council
don't
is
know if it's
doing
gonna be-
virtual meetings?
Yeah, I don't know that it will be in person, just so you're aware.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
That's how we do that.
Well, I'll have to look into, I should look into whether Walter can be brought on visibly in the council meeting. If we're prepared, I think it can be done.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Walter would be the right one to do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to sign in as a member of the public and then get promoted by Bob McQueen.
okay. All right.
You get
Fantastic.
promoted, Walter, ask for a raise.
And get some back pay, right? All right. Green Infrastructure Strategic Plan update. I don't know if there's anything new there. Tara gave us a pretty good update the last time.
Yeah, still nothing on that front,
Okay.
so I'll keep you posted.
All right. And plastic ban education subcommittee reusable bag update. Again, Tara, you were saying that the bags are here. Robin was able to obtain some for the Commerce, is it Commerce?
Chamber of Commerce meeting.
Chamber of Commerce.
I was at the
meeting.
meeting.
Yeah. And I don't know whether the full 2,500 were ordered, but we can find that out. But we need to think about how we get between now and, and beyond the 22nd of May next year, how we get these into the hands of the public. You'd like for it to be at some event, some way that, they can recognize that the township is doing it, but at the same time, we don't want them sitting in the warehouse while, the new ordinance goes into effect. So let's think about that. All right. We just did an update on the Adopt a Storm Drain program, and that sounds really good.
I have
Old business?
actually
Yeah.
number 6 website, email, and social media. I have an idea. Can we go back to this?
Yes.
Tara, can you give me sharing privilege?
I think so. Oh yeah, I can actually change role. Presenter, you got any presenter?
Presenter, yeah.
Okay. All right, it says it's go. Okay, you should be good.
Okay, share screen, share. So what I want to share is email from Sustainable Princeton, where they are informing people about more sustainable lawn maintenance practices. And I think that it would be kind of low-hanging fruit to communicate to our residents via social media. So something along those lines. I'm going to read it. Are you looking to save time and energy? We've got an idea. Don't bother with your rake or leaf blower this fall. As the leaf starts to come down, mulch them into nutrients for your yard. We understand the desire to beautify your lawn and keep grass looking clean, but removing your leaves takes away valuable soil amenities needed for a healthy yard. Use a gas blower for this task, and you are also negatively impacting the environment and human health. Instead, break out the mower and use it to chop the leaves. Leaves
The gas
left
mower.
on your
Break out the gas mower.
Gas more.
break
You
out
gotta use an electric mower.
Yeah, I know it sounds awful weird. Break up the leaf with mower. Yeah, of course. Break
Well,
out the leaf.
say electric mower if possible.
Yeah, well, and use it
Okay.
to chop the leaves. I mean, I don't like the sentence anyway, but you know what it means.
Yeah.
So leaves left on your lawn in this manner are beneficial, acting as a nutritious source of nitrogen and other organic matter. They help build the soil, preserve soil moisture, and protect root systems. Native insects, a critical food source for many wild birds, rely on leaf litter for spring birth. While we have been innocently removing leaves, there are a surprising number of negative impacts. So I think that if we can kind of, I don't know whether it's considered plagiarism, but take this and put it on our social media.
Yeah.
I think I would like to move to take the article from Sustainable Princeton and put it on our social media.
about on our webpage also, or is that
Yeah.
not?
Okay,
I think if you acknowledge where it came from, you have no problem. It's not acknowledging it where you run into problem.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you probably ask them and they'll say, as long as you acknowledge, it's fine.
Yes,
Okay. You think that Tara could do it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
right.
I'm moving that Tara will take care of publishing this article. I will forward it and I copy Christine Symington for approval, for acknowledgement approval that we can use this information.
Sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that, along with what I think that Jessica was able to get up or is planning to on plastics from Consumer Reports. I think that's just great information out there for the public. Okay, so is there a motion to have Tara move on this? And a second?
second,
Dan, what is your motion?
Yeah. What shall I say?
Can I get a second?
Oh yeah, second. Yeah. No, well, I moved. I need the second.
Okay, yeah. Can we get a second? Paul, you got a second for?
second.
Okay. We've been moving in second this information on from Sustainable Princeton that we seek their okay to use it, and we post it on our social media. And Tara would take care of all the details.
Mm-hmm.
So all in favor, let it be known by saying
Discussion, please.
yes.
So,
Please.
you know, there's been a lot of debate as to how this whole process works. I mean, I think it's a great idea in a lot of cases to mulch your leaves into the ground. I do it during the near the end of the summer, during the leaf season. I do it for part of the leaf season, but there will be landscapers that will tell you, and I'm not sure what the exact science is, and I'm not sure what the exact science is coming from Princeton, that you can only, when you have a crap load of leaves and you are mulching them into your grass, if you've got too many leaves, you might be just covering over the grass completely, which is not necessarily good for the grass. I'm not saying what I'm saying is scientific. It's just things that I have read and heard people talk about. So I'm going to abstain on this because I need more information. For a place that has very little leaves or a medium amount of leaves, I think it's an excellent idea. But there are some places that get a tremendous amount of leaves, and I don't know if it's the best way to go, because when you're mulching it, you can only mulch it so much, and at some point you're just putting a layer
I
of
think
mulch leaves over the top, which is not necessarily good for the grass. Go ahead, Stan.
no, I'm waving at Robin.
Oh, okay. I thought you were.
Oh,
Everybody,
there she is.
happy to be with you.
Yeah, Arnie, I understand what you're saying and where you're coming from. My thinking was that people need to start thinking about sustainable landscaping. So even though there are arguments that it is not absolute advice, that correct, that does situations when you have lots of leaves, you have to remove some of them. But I think the concept of leaving leaves as a source of nutrients, people need to start thinking about it.
I
I would
agree
not-
with you. Go ahead,
Would
Ted.
not rate the leaves highly as nutrients. Generally speaking, all the foliage gradually loses its proteins at the end of the season.
Yeah, once the leaves are dead, is that what you're saying, Ted?
Yeah,
They're no longer green and holding on to the chlorophylls and all the nutrients and all of that.
Well, no, the elemental composition is there. I mean, it is degraded, but the nitrogen is there.
Mhm. Yeah, again, that's why I would abstain for something like this. I would want to learn more about it before I put out information that is not necessarily good for every situation.
And normally I
the
would,
premise of what you're saying, Stan, I agree with 100%,
yeah.
but it's not necessarily something that is good for every situation.
Well, and I think the article should not imply that, but normally I would say let's wait until next meeting to have a conversation about maybe rewarding and stuff. But the leaves is falling now.
Well, can you forward that article to us if you haven't already? I don't know if I've
Yes,
seen it.
but if we are about to discuss it next time, it might be just too late. I mean, I can. Well, you should
I think that
you should be
I
subscribed
probably
to Sustainable Princeton, by the way.
Okay, well, they are one group. But 99% of the leaves are still on my trees. So like I said, I'm just one vote. So
Well, I'm just sending it to everyone, even to Amy. Send. Okay. So I didn't send anything to Christine, but should we continue to vote, or because if we don't release it now, then I will not move for it next time.
I think releasing it prior to having fully vetting it, I think is a mistake.
Robin, we are discussing whether we should
Post it.
put on social media this section of some Sustainable Princeton. I think, Robin, you are on the mailing list.
I am.
About,
I would be in favor of promoting the article. It's what I've read and understood in landscaping over the last 10 years. Using mulching lawnmowers, I think, is the perfect solution, because it's not only adding what nutrients might be in there, but it does add to the complexity of the lawn and the soil base. So I think it is a good time to send it out there, and I would vote in favor of it, unless Ted feels there's something technically inaccurate in the article.
well,
Can we have more discussion?
I think
So-
in general, I agree with the article. It's just that, as Arnie, well, it does say if tree density requires you to collect your leaves in a corner of your property. So it does,
Have some modifications.
please do not put them in the
Provide
street
for
where they clog
directory.
stormwater drains, which is actually additional important information. Cause flooding and feed harmful algae blooms in our streams. Consider creating a compost pile. Spread them on your garden to insulate roots for winter, or use them as mulch in your flower beds. I think it doesn't say, hey, you have to suffocate your green grass.
No.
Well, this makes me feel better where I see that it says if tree density requires you to collect your leaves in a corner of your property, please do not put them in the street where they clog storm drains, cause flooding, and feed harmful algae, blah, blah, blah. Consider creating a compost pile, spread them on your garden to insulate roots for the winter, or use them as a mulch in your flower beds. Seeing that in there, that makes me feel better about it. Not having been able to see this article beforehand, that's why I had questions. Now that I see that paragraph in there, that makes me feel better about it.
Okay.
I'm amused that they tell Princeton residents not to put their leaves in the street, because when I
Yeah.
drive into Princeton, that's exactly what I do see. They put piles in the street and expect the township to pick them up. And Bob Vornlacher tells me that is actually illegal under DEP regulations. But apparently they pick them up in Princeton.
Bob Vornlacher is absolutely correct about that because of the stormwater management issues.
No.
And as a matter of fact, when you put stuff in the street, they soak up oil from car drippings and other liquids from cars, which then gets into the leaves, and those leaves are then used for composting, and not necessarily the best thing that you want to use for your garden if you're growing things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can I just ask a question? What's the intention of this article, to put it in the Franklin Times,
So,
put it on our
the
website
social media on the
And the
So-
website.
and the website? Great, thank you.
yeah, to communicate to our residents.
Thank you, great.
Okay, well, we've had any more discussion? And I call for a vote.
I'm in favor of it. It has the paragraph that Arnold, the disclaimer, basically. So that's good.
All right, so all in favor, it's been moved to second after discussion. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Any abstention? Okay, so the motion is carried. So Tara and Stan, you guys work together and
Okay.
with
I'm
Jessica
just
and whatever's
working on it.
necessary to see that that happens. And we encourage you to look for more, I don't know, sustainability type articles like this that we can post from time to time.
Yeah, and Stan, I think we should give credit to Sustainable Princeton if we're copying it word for word.
That's what we said in the
I'm
beginning,
just
yeah.
asking
Yeah.
Christine Samington for permission.
I'm sorry.
Very good.
Tara, I'm seeing 3 email addresses for you.
I do have 3, so you can use the Franklin one or my Kenyon planning one, or whichever you prefer, because they
I
both
have
go the
for
same.
Franklin, I have Franklin NJ.gov and twpfranklin.nj.us.
Oh no, so the one it's tara.kenyon@franklinnj.gov. The TWP, that was our old one, so no one
Ah.
uses those anymore.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, good.
All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you. So if we move along here, New Jersey climate resistance planning, I know we were saying that planning is working on that. Am I correct?
We don't need to work on that just yet because it's when the land use element is updated, which is not due for a while. So we're
Okay.
not, yeah, that won't be done just yet, but it's definitely something we can include in our other planning documents as we update them.
All right, very good.
And I think we could be collecting in the meantime anything we read about other municipalities, what they're doing for this, so that we have something to offer when the time
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the model EB ordinance,
Sure.
I know, Stan, you shared some information earlier, but you want to repeat that, or do we want to move on?
About what?
The model EB ordinance.
No, I said that there is no update because I made
Okay.
update last time.
Very good. And environmental stewardship ward, well, did we forget to go into executive session, or should we have?
Do we need to?
We do that if we're going to go into executive session, we usually do it for the very end of the meeting.
Okay,
That's why I suggested we put that in the
All right,
agenda at the end of the meeting. So therefore you don't have to bring the public back in and out.
absolutely. You're right. Okay. Green
We
infrastructure,
don't need, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
green infrastructure strategic planning.
No update.
Okay. And plastic ban education subcommittee, Maria did share, can anyone pull up what she said in her email? She's not
Yeah,
here. And
I can tell you that she did say that they learned that the middle school does not have an environmental club.
oh,
They do
yeah.
have a polar project, which is climate related, and the high school does have an environmental club, and they're waiting to put Maria in touch with the advisors to each of those clubs. And Maria points out we need to figure out who's going to help develop some programs to offer to these clubs. So she was looking for people willing to work with these advisors. I think it should go back to the subcommittee and let the subcommittee work on this and come up with a little sense of a plan. So maybe Walter, you want to get back in touch with her. I'm happy to do that, work with some of these students, and or if they have club meetings in person, I'd be happy to go. Because quite honestly, if we educate the students will educate their parents.
Absolutely. That sounds like a plan, and I'll contact Maria, and I believe that she will reconvene the subcommittee of the people that we already have, and develop some of these platforms and programs that we can share, or
Great. I just want to double check her actual email. I was doing that from memory.
That's what I remember as well.
Yeah, that's what it says. The advisor at in middle school is actually the vice principal. And so Maria, I think Maria is trying to kick it back to the total commission to determine who, how, when, what, and why, with in any contact with the advisors. So I think the subcommittee should make a proposal. The commission can approve it. So it should be committee work. I don't think it should be full commission. It's just
well,
I might add at this point that I received from New Jersey League of Conservation Voters a big piece about, I think it was Hispanic heritage and environmental matters, authored by Patty Cronheim of League of Conservation Voters and Maria Santiago Valentin.
Wow.
Incidentally cited as the founder of an environmental group whose name I can't remember off the top of my head.
She told us that when she joined. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think
we know that.
Yeah, we should get more familiar with that. And if Ted, maybe you could pass along the piece.
Yeah, I think I've still got it somewhere on my computer.
Great.
Excellent. Okay. Robin, when I think earlier your meeting or reach out to the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes. I couldn't remember whether we've met since then. Had a good event. The chamber held it outside at Stateside Tavern. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They gave me the floor for a good 10 minutes. People listened. I think it helped they'd had at least one beer because it was Oktoberfest. And my husband, Paul, was there, and Paul Walitsky was there. And so I got...
the chamber meeting, yes.
Yeah, so I got to speak to the group, and Paul handed out the bags. They handed out the flyers. We left extra flyers for people to take with them.
We gave out about 30 or 40 bags, I think.
Yeah. I don't think most of these people even knew we had an environmental commission. So it was.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was a good chance to promote who we are.
Yeah.
And then we got some nice support from people like Bill Grippo and Peter Stravanides, real pillars of the community who were happy to have us there. And I think maybe we opened a door so that perhaps twice a year we could go talk to them, because there's
So Bill Grippo was there.
I'm sorry?
Bill Grippo was there, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Bill
How
and
about-
Peter were
How
really,
about Ed Potosnak?
Ed was not there.
No, he was not there. The owner of the Venus Jewelry, that was,
It's
So
Peter
it-
Stravanides, yeah.
yeah, he was there.
So I'm
And,
hoping that-
Joe Danielson was there.
yes.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm hoping with additional new information, because so much is changing in New Jersey, I think they'd have us back twice a year, or at least once a year, to help spread the word around. And I
Fantastic.
think anything that we have, we could consider emailing the chamber, and the chamber would email it to their members.
Mhm.
So it's another way to get word out in Franklin.
Mm, very
Okay,
good,
Robert, we'll
very
certainly continue to use you as a link, and thank you for, I'll call it, opening a few doorways here.
And
Yeah,
I'm
you know.
still waiting to hear from the Franklin Interfaith Council.
Oh,
as to
okay.
When they want me. So that's another one, hopefully will come up soon. And as I put in my email to somebody, I've got the balance of the bags in my garage and lots of flyers. So if anybody, if they'd be better off in Tara's hands, I'll take them to Tara's house. If you want me to just warehouse them for now, I'm happy to do that. And if anybody's got an opportunity to, sing a song for the Environmental Commission, come
Yeah.
pick up some supplies and do that. We have a message
Right.
now, so,
Yeah.
and we have materials.
Fantastic. Thank you again.
Mhm.
All right. I wanted to get that in because you were not there and we sort of glossed over it, and I deemed it pretty important. If we continued here on the old business, we talked about the old business storm drain basin retrofit program, Sustainable Jersey. Ted, anything new with Sustainable Jersey?
No, but at least by January, I'm going to have to get started on preparing our application for recertification.
Mhm.
I'm hoping that Tara will do a lot of that.
Okay.
Definitely, yep.
Tara, let us know if you need help.
Yep.
I will. I'm sure I will, and I'll let you all know for sure.
All right. Environmental Stewardship Awards, I think we've covered that. Now, anything new? We talked about the stream cleanup, and well, I don't think there's anything left to be said. Is there a Stan or Ted?
Well,
Tara?
do you want me to pursue the owner of the
Imperia.
I spoke to my contact is Rajiv Prasad. I spoke to him. He said yes, he'd send me information, which he didn't. But I can bug him. But do we want to pursue the possibility of cleaning up that stream, or should we stick with probably Mile Run? Mile Run has the great advantage that then we get cooperation from New Brunswick and
Exactly,
Colorado
exactly.
and Watershed Partnership.
Ted, what was the first stream that you talked about? You're talking about behind that,
Look, that comes down, that crosses Eastern Avenue right by the Imperia.
so
And
my
Stan
question,
investigated the area.
yeah, my question about that is that Imperial property?
Yes,
Yeah, we did
So
discuss
then
that.
should not that be their responsibility? And therefore, if they're not keeping it clean, shouldn't the township be citing them for not keeping it clean? And then we can be doing it on other properties? We can be doing our stream cleanups on public properties instead of private properties.
as a practical matter, I don't think it'll get done unless we do it.
Well, as a practical matter, I
I
bring
know.
it up because do we not have property maintenance people that do any kind of enforcement in town?
Well, Stan reported that there was a lot of stuff there.
Is there an ordinance that requires them to clean it up?
I don't think so.
Well, I think there's property maintenance. I don't know what the ordinance is, but aren't you required? It's sort of like if you let your grass grow too high, the township can cite you for that. And if there's litter on your property, I mean, there's all different there's, well,
It
I don't
is
know what
a
it is, but there
potential
are
problem
property
for
maintenance
the,
issues. But I would object to us doing a cleanup on a private property where we are giving them free work when we should be doing it on public property owned by the
well,
township.
we can either tell them that they have to donate certain amount of money to organization of our choice in the amount that we choose, or they have to pay someone to do it. That's
We,
optional.
we don't have the authority to tell them to do that, but the township has the authority to tell them to clean up their property is my point.
I think I'd have to ask the township manager what authority the township would be likely to exercise in such a matter.
I think we'd have to read the municipal code. If there's something in there, then we could go to the township and say, seems like here it is, chapter and verse. Are we enforcing these? Should we? What's your view on it? But I think we need to do our homework first.
The other part is that if we're cleaning up on private property, then we're trespassing on private property.
Well, no, that would have to,
Unless they give us permission.
of course, they
And
would
sure,
have to give
they're going to
us.
give us permission because they're getting free services to clean up their property.
Yes, but what I was suggesting is that we would not be doing it. Well, we would not get paid, right? But they would pay someone.
And
That's what
I
was suggesting.
think, Stan, that's a very interesting concept that maybe we could use again and again. For example, can somebody make a contribution to a portion of the township and consider that a charitable donation, so that we could, for example, ask them to make a contribution of $500. It goes to the township dedicated to help support the work of the Environmental Commission or the Green Team. They take it as
it would be more than 500, by the way.
yeah, whatever the number, they take it as a charitable deduction. They don't have to send their people in there who don't know what they're doing.
Yes, exactly.
And we get a little bit of budget money that helps us do our work.
And they may have good publicity because Frankly Reporter will be on premises.
I don't know, I'd be very hesitant about doing anything of that sort.
No, but first we have to research the ordinance.
I'm
Okay.
just trying to suggest how to get the job done, okay? You
Well,
can
I
figure
know-
a different way.
I
You
think
can-
the best idea was if Ted was to ask the township manager. I mean, of course, people here can do their own research, but if Ted asks the township manager about property maintenance, what are the rules about them being responsible for cleaning up? If we see a large area in the town where there's a major problem with litter and bigger than litter, should the township be sending somebody there and sending a notice to that property owner saying this needs to be cleaned up?
Well, I do think we should, as environmental commission members, look at the municipal code and understand it. Because if it's something they haven't been enforcing, Mr. Vornlocker's not necessarily going to know it off the top of his head because it's not part of his routine. But maybe we could become acquainted and then offer to help him in this by bringing these situations to his attention before they become a real mess.
You know whom I ask
I
if
think
I
that's
need,
fine to be able to do that.
you know whom I would ask if I need to know the code?
Mark Healy.
No, Tara.
Well, I think we can dig our hands into it too. We shouldn't be afraid. It's there on the website. We can read it.
I know, I don't know the code off the top of my head. I do know there is a, they're not really called a property maintenance person, but we have a zoning officer and zoning, I don't know if they're called zoning officers, but there's one person now, there used to be two, that work under zoning, and they do go to properties and do site inspections where there is violations of the code. And I know some of them have been for, excessive trash and debris. I don't know what sparks it in the code. We could look it up, but we do have those. We have one person on staff right now. I know that.
Yeah.
So it is something that they do, but they
Shoot.
probably don't have enough people to, the cat does not get a vote.
I know, I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh my God, this cat.
Very, very pretty face on that cat.
He is very,
Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
he's very
Um,
jealous.
Cats have an affinity for Zoom.
He does, he gets jealous. He doesn't like anyone else to talk to me.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay.
No, but it sounds like we do have somebody that's part of their responsibility. But for a town that's 43 square miles or whatever it is, if we have one person doing that, that's, they're not going to be able to do that. But if a complaint is submitted to that person, or however it's done, about a very specific property and a situation, then I would think that would be on their list of places to go out to.
mhm. Yeah,
And
and we're gonna
thus-
look into it. Yeah,
329-13, littering and dumping prohibited.
Yeah, but this may not be dumping, this may be litter.
Well,
that's-
littering is not particularly dumping. I
But
mean,
if it's
but that's where it would be.
Or under garbage, rubbish, and refuse.
But yeah, Article 1, recycling and solid waste disposal.
Ooh.
Yeah, but is there something about
Maybe the right,
property-
if that's, it says Township of Franklin, but that may be the other one. I don't know if it's here or not.
there might be a separate section, and which is what Tara was talking about
Yeah.
property
there
maintenance.
also, there also might be a section under the health code or Board of Health because of, a violation to health.
Oh, that was for Gloucester County, sorry.
Okay, I can definitely look into it, and if anybody else knows
There's
of
several
anything,
Franklin Townships in New Jersey.
Yeah, at least 3. Yeah.
5 of
I
them.
could, I could let Sarasa
At least it's
know
New
about it.
Jersey,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Tara, say that again?
The woman that works in our office that does these site inspections and mitigation is, her name is Sarasa. I can talk to her about it and see if she's been alerted to it, or ask her if it's something that, she would typically do, if that would help.
That's great.
Yes, it will.
All right, I can ask her about
That
that.
would be great, Tara. Thank you.
I don't know if that's part of her. I would assume that she does it, but I will definitely check. And this is behind the, tell me the name of the place. again.
Imperia.
Imperial? Okay.
Imperia.
Imperia.
I don't know if it would be incumbent on if she would want to meet somebody from the Environmental Commission out there to show her exactly where it is that we are
I can do
talking
that.
about.
But I think you need permission from the landowner.
She
Oh,
doesn't, but yeah, we would. Yeah, if she went out on her own,
Zoning officer doesn't require permission.
right.
Right.
She
As long as
wouldn't
we
need
went
it.
with her.
Yeah, if someone went with her, they would need it. Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, well, winter's coming, so
Sounds
Those
like the
pictures that I have-
Game of Thrones.
Those pictures that I have taken were before Ida. I have no
Ah.
idea whether the garbage is still there.
yeah.
Yeah.
When the leaves go down, I'll go back to 3 Mile Run and get a look at that. Because
Oh.
that would be possibly, we could get New Brunswick's help with that because they're on the other side of the road. So I'll try
Well-
to take pictures.
Well, I went in there and there wasn't much.
Right. But I'll go again and just make sure there isn't much and perhaps look on the other side of the road.
Well, based on what Stan just said, if it's been a while since he's taken pictures, maybe before we refer this to this person that Tara is speaking about, we should, take another look at it.
Okay. Very good.
Whether it be,
Generally, I would-
and when I say we should take another look at it, it sounds like, were those pictures taken illegally, going on that property illegally?
Because we went through this exercise before,
I mean, if
generally,
she is
I know
working
that-
if she's working under zoning and she gets a complaint or a question, that she does have the ability to go out to the site without having to, get permission or anything like that. So maybe it's best if I just ask her and see what she thinks.
Right.
I think that works.
All right. Very good.
And I know that the property actually extends to the other side of the brook. If you look up that
Lakeside, I think.
to bother you.
Okay.
Side, yeah.
And
Were there
something,
any no trespassing signs out there?
I didn't see any.
Okay.
and something to keep in mind, if there's nothing that's specific enough about accumulation of debris that is prohibiting safe stormwater management, we might be prepared to look at creating an ordinance. If there's nothing, because I'm looking at what's in here, and there's weeds, grass, and brush, and there's litter, and there's garbage and rubbish. But if nothing is specific enough, we might want to think about that.
Okay.
Incidentally, a reason for doing that brook is that brook runs into the canal. It's the only significant brook which goes into the canal rather than under it. And it's therefore a water supply quality matter,
Yeah. Good point.
Hmm. Okay.
which is why New Jersey Water Supply Authority has always been interested in cleaning out the sediment there, but they've never gotten the money to do it.
And Ted, where do all our storm drains run into?
I assume that, I don't know, probably most of them go into the canal.
Yeah.
Yeah, our storm drains at Canal Walk have labels on them that says drains to a waterway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I'm sure the
Waterway.
waterway.
If it drains to a drinking water supply,
Yeah,
that's even a higher standard of care, I think.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I think we want to educate people about that.
We might be opening a can of worms here.
That's our
I know
job.
there's a drain from the quarry that runs into the canal.
Okay.
I mean, it's, if,
But would the Water Supply Authority be interested in what we might be doing?
it'd be, they would applaud, but that's about all. No, if the drains go into a brook, the brooks generally go under the canal.
Oh.
They call a culvert. But
Oh.
many drains do, I'm sure, go right into the canal.
So under the canal into the Raritan, is that what you're saying, Ted?
Yeah, or the millstone, depending on where they are.
Right.
But for instance, the drains at the end of Old Georgetown Road, I can't see that they could do anything other than go into the canal.
Right. And with the canal
Speaking of
commission,
which, congratulations on your 40+ acres of open space preserved up by you, Ted.
Okay. Oh,
Which,
learned something new tonight. Go under the canal into the. Wow.
would the canal commission know about brooks that go into the canal?
Yeah.
I know that there was a survey sort of in the southbound brook area some years ago that found a large number, 60 odd outfalls going into the canal.
60. Wow.
Whether any of them got stopped as a result, I don't know.
And that's just in Southbound Brook area.
Yeah, I don't know just how much of the canal.
the Canal Commission is actually part of the DEP, under their Forestry and Parks section.
Well,
Correct.
Wow.
one of these things where they say in but not of.
Yes.
All right.
The Water Supply Authority that would be more interested in what drains into the canal.
Okay. Does anyone have a contact with the Water Supply Authority?
I used to, but all the people I know have retired from it.
I think I do. I used to work at the Water Supply Authority a while back, but I know a
Oh.
lot of them are gone, but there's one person that still works there I can reach out to.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Bob O'Neill retired, but there's a young guy named
Yeah.
Kyle something who is now occasionally comes to Middlesex County Water Resource Association meetings that I go to.
Okay.
Good.
Good knowledge to have.
Yeah.
When I have the minutes, I can give you his name.
All right. Thank you. If we move on down, we've, the plan review checklist, I know that was a sort of a dry run on one or two of the plans, but what is the status of that? I think it got pretty good reviews, but just some slight modification probably would make it even better.
Yeah, I have to. So I didn't get a chance to test it out on anything else because we didn't have plans at the last one. And the plans for this meeting, I did not get a chance to review them because they just came out today. So the next
Mhm.
time plans come out, I'll try it out again because the first one we
Okay.
used, I think it went over pretty well, but that plan was kind of small in nature. So I want to try and run it past another project, but I plan on continuing to use it to kind of until we can like kind of iron it out, but it's definitely functional.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Tara. That's great.
Okay. Now, the warehouse stoplight and motor vehicles, we had a considerable, do we need more discussion on that?
Just asking Ted if he's heard of any updates on where they are with the ordinance.
We're having to Ted.
He's
I
taking
just
minutes.
said, no, I didn't have any update.
Okay. All right. Good. But we'll continue to monitor and see what happens. And certainly we had considerable discussion about sustainable landscaping with regard to what we want to put on social media from Sustainable Princeton. But anything else on that tonight?
I have one thing, if we
Yes.
have time, it'll only take just a few minutes since Robin
Sure.
is here. I know you came on at a hard time, but I did look into that heat island
Yes.
mitigation that you had wanted to look into. So I'm just gonna quickly go over because I know it's late, but we can go into more detail next time. Let me just get my notes
Oh,
up here.
excellent. Excellent.
So actually, it's funny. So right after our last meeting, my planning magazine came in, which this is what I get for my dues that I pay every year. So I could read it, obviously. And one of
Is
the
it the
main
one that doesn't come in electronic format?
It does. I get the paper format in this one because this is basically the one thing I get every month. So I want to have it, but I will say I do refer to these a lot. One of the main articles in here was 8 strategies to beat the extreme heat. So it was like perfect timing. So I went through this article. I looked on the EPA website and I just did some general research. So I'll just tell you what I found briefly. So obviously you all know that there's a lot of problems related to the heat island effect and extreme heat related illness and death, which we all know about. And I can send out my notes after this too, but basically found out some interesting facts that the heat island effect is when daytime temperatures are impacted, and in some cases they can be 1 to 7 degrees higher in the daytime and 2 to 5 degrees higher in nighttime, and that's at the neighborhood scale. So we're talking one neighborhood to the next can differ by that many degrees, depending on the amount of natural vegetation and green space that is around. So, obviously the heat islands are mostly in urban areas. There's interesting other side effects that happen because of the heat effect. So the heat island effect, obviously it's the health impacts that we always think about, but there's other things like the increased energy consumption from using air conditioning electricity. That actually increases the heat even more by 2 degrees because of the demand on the energy system, which leads to brownouts and blackouts. So that actually ends up creating more heat by using more air conditioning. The elevated emissions of air pollutants, obviously there's compromised human health and discomfort. stormwater runoff gets heated before it enters the waterways, and that raises the ambient temperatures of water. So that's further adding to our stormwater management problems, the ambient temperature, which has an impact on aquatic life and algae. So that's something I never thought about, is that basically puddles are getting heated up and then they're entering the system hot instead of at regular temperature.
Sarah,
Huh?
also, maybe the vehicular traffic and air conditioning of vehicles is also adding to the heat, right?
Yes.
So
Yep.
certainly, idling traffic lights.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And because of all those things, temperatures in urban streams have been recorded even in New Jersey as much as 7 degrees hotter than streams that have forested cover around it. So that's a huge difference. One interesting thing, so in this article and between there's a ton of resources available through the EPA, but there's some strategies for reducing the heat island effect, and there's a ton of them, but basically it says, to increase tree and vegetative cover. And then one thing it says, there's always talking about increasing green infrastructure and green roofs, but one thing that I found throughout all the resources I looked at is that installing cool and reflective materials is another strategy for moving forward. So cool pavements, which are pavements that are more reflective. There is a coating you can put on existing roofs that makes it a higher solar reflectance index, and that's what a lot of larger or older buildings are using to make their roof cooler without having to go through the expense of a whole brand new roof. There's also tiles. There's actually asphalt tiles that are treated with this cool. So right now they provide weatherization services, which is basically an audit of your home to see where you're losing heat or cooling. And then it could be anything from new windows and new doors to just ceiling doors to changing your roof out, light sources, things like that. But that might be something that we could look into to help with some of our direct, residents.
Yeah, and we could partner with organizations that have regular contact. Could be First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens, could be the food bank. These are folks who are people already trust as an information source.
Yeah, that is like a perfect, that's perfect for that.
The problem can be people not wanting outsiders coming into their houses to inspect.
I don't know, but I do know that, there are approved contractors through this weatherization assistance program, and they have to get approved by the Department of Energy. So maybe, I don't know what the process is, but I'm hoping there's some kind of.
Well, there are state programs along this line.
Right. Well, so the Department of Energy splits it into states. So I got the contact info for our New Jersey office. So we can look into that, but I mean, we have to do a little background. I'm just letting you know some of the stuff that's available. And that was one thing I thought that would be a direct impact. Another cool thing is that the EPA and FEMA have both developed social media toolkits that have existing flyers and Facebook posts that you're allowed to take and use. So that is something we can look into using, and it explains what is it, the heat island effect, what can you do? They have them in 2 languages, English and Spanish. So I thought that might be something we could maybe work with.
Yeah, and I think to work on this stuff over the winter so we could get information out in April would be perfect.
Yeah.
So prepare for the summer. And I think there's the 2 things about it that, in addition to the stormwater, the green roof issue, I think, is worth delving deeper into, because the way we're building warehouses, we're going to look like those stretches of South Brunswick there over at Exit 8A. It's not long before we're going to look like that. And we're eliminating so many of the big trees and old sod that hasn't been touched in years, and putting up warehouses. We're going to create heat islands where we've never had any before because of the amount of construction. And then the other piece is green infill in the denser part of towns, where there's an empty lot, whether the township could buy it, we partner with somebody, leave enough planting so it helps reduce the temperature and, a 2-block radius. I'd
Right,
love to
I
know
agree
more.
with you, and I think one thing about the warehouses, a lot of times warehouses are a little reluctant to use a green roof just because of the cost and because of the weight. But in instances where we maybe, when we're recommending a green roof, we can also recommend this this cool roof or the cool coating, because at least it's something to reduce that heat impact.
Yeah.
And it's a lot cheaper. So yeah, I think both that would be optimal, but if not, maybe they would be willing to do this because you can go on and paint it right on. So
And I
hopefully
think
that
Yeah.
would work.
we can make some of this part of our ask to the master plan when they're talking about land use, because
Yes.
when you're approving, giving approval to something, we could build it into the approval process.
Right, absolutely. And then the last thing is, and I'll send out these notes so you can kind of look at them, but I just
Okay.
wanted, since we're on, I just wanted to, let you know that I did look into it. But the last thing, and Ted, you'll appreciate this. So for Sustainable Jersey, there's 2 action items that equal 20 points total. That if we were to do some of these things, it's like identifying vulnerable populations for heat, putting together a heat island strategy plan, which is basically just listing the stuff we talked about. If we were able to do that with a map, we could get those action items through Sustainable Jersey. So there's definitely a connection there also. So I did start looking at, I don't know if it's a committee that should be doing this work, or if you want to do it as part of a regular, the regular meetings. It's up to you guys, but that's the kind of background I got.
It's wonderful.
Can I have a comment or question
Mm-hmm.
before we move to the Sustainable Jersey? Regarding the heat islands, and I'm a big fan of solar, right?
Mm-hmm.
But isn't actually solar panels, don't they actually contribute to the heating?
Yes,
Because
yeah,
they
they do,
absorb the thing.
unfortunately, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
They do contribute to the heat island effect, not obviously as much as these larger buildings, but yes, I mean, anything that is non-reflective and covering green space, and obviously they can't be shaded, the solar panels, that is just increasing the heat. But yeah, I mean, I do know, just from briefly speaking with Mark Healy, I had to go into the office today and we were just chatting. And, he did mention that there is funding obviously for tree planting that we have from previous applications where we have like money in the shade tree fund. So I mean, that's something we can do in the name of heat mitigation. The Somerset County Preservation Plan, I just had to review for comment. And one of the items they listed in there was preserving smaller pieces of property. They didn't mention for heat island effect, but they did say for connecting green spaces and things. So, I mean, there's ways that we can just do those things and connect it to, yes, we're preserving smaller green spaces, and it's also going to help mitigate, the heat island effect.
Yeah.
So there's
Wow.
lots of stuff we can do, I think, with it. So it's just a matter of whittling down what do we want to do.
One sort of township-owned land is paper streets.
Mm-hmm.
It's a street that is, the township has a right of way, but the street has not been built and is not going to be built.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we give it off to the fronting property owners, but
Yeah, that's a good point. Yep.
Maybe we could get an inventory from the tax assessor or somebody.
Yeah.
well, I'm sure we know what lots the township owns, and there are scatterings of these little township lots all up in the northern part of the township, particularly incidentally north of 287 and west of Elizabeth Avenue. There's very
Yeah.
relatively few houses. But I think the heat island would be more the northeastern part east of Franklin Boulevard. East of,
Yeah.
That plus the Boeing warehouse area.
I mean, we would certainly be a lot better off than, say, New Brunswick in this respect.
Yeah.
We don't have row houses.
That's true. And yeah, that's absolutely true. And I mean, one good way maybe to start off, and I'm sure that our fire, I don't know what the right name of their department is, the fire.
The various fire companies.
Right. I'm sure that they have inventories or listings of people that are vulnerable, or PSE&G has information of people that need energy for their medical equipment. And we can put that an inventory together of vulnerable populations, and that is one way to identify people that are in danger when there is extreme heat. And that can kind of focus our efforts that way. That's another thing. So there's lots of opportunities and projects to do.
Yeah, the township does want to have an inventory of such people, and they probably have only a small fraction of the people that
Yeah.
potentially could be affected. But
Yeah,
But on the other hand, some people may not want to be widely known.
But if you work with churches, they may know who needs help and,
Yeah.
you
Good
know,
point.
could find out who's willing to accept help and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like a larger project that we could do. And that would definitely be within our purview. Or I mean, like I said, there's smaller projects, which is maybe we start off with an education workshop or social media posting or something, you know. So I don't know how you normally, if you want to have a committee work on the whittling down of the project, or if you want to just put it on the agenda next month, or how you want to proceed. It's up to you guys. So that was it.
Definitely think we want to continue our discussion on heat islands. But in terms of, thank you for all that information. It seems that it's possible for the heat island effect to change the whole ecology of a 10 square mile area, because plants change, animal populations move, and what have you. It
Yeah.
can really get
with
deep. So
more heat, we get more microburst rainfall,
Mm-hmm.
and then we get stormwater. We
Yeah.
got runoff
Yeah.
to deal with. It's all connected.
It
Yeah.
is.
okay.
Well,
All
I
right.
think, I think we could talk next meeting about the possibility of
Yeah.
forming a subcommittee. I think that might be the way to do it.
And Tara, you say you have you share your notes, so that was something you could share about this.
Yeah, I'll share my notes. They're not in like a formal I mean, I typed them up, but
Okay.
because my handwriting is horrible, so you could never read that. But they're not, it's not a formal report. But yeah, I can definitely share the notes with you at least. This way you kind of have an idea of what I looked at, and I think it'll maybe spawn some ideas for
Yeah.
projects.
That's
Yeah, I
great.
think that's a good next step. So
Mhm.
let's do that.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds-
The EC website subcommittee, did its work early, and I guess we were asked to test run, the website with the suggested changes, etc. But is there any update on that, or are we still just continuing to test it, if you will?
Yeah, it'd be really
I-
helpful to hear what you guys think. Has anybody gone to it, looked at it? We're looking at our postings?
Uh,
If we don't look
I
at it,
did,
why won't our residents look at it?
Yeah. Well, I just did it in a small section, sub portion, and I didn't do the whole thing. So maybe what I'll do is go back and actually do a thorough
Yeah.
look at it, if you will.
And try to pretend that you're John Q. Public looking at it.
Yeah,
You're not a commission member.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
and also we need to keep in mind that I guess in about a year now, they're going to revamp the total township template for the website.
Oh,
So the content will probably be the same, but the look and feel will be improved. I hope.
okay.
So that, but we should be checking for content is what we want out there.
Very good. Okay, well,
A lot of things got lost the last time they revamped the township website.
Well, I think we can ask Krista or Bob to give us a site map with all the data, or that make sure they form one, so they have something to check the new site against. And maybe give us a copy so we could go through and make sure everything's there.
mhm.
all right. Okay. Now we're at the point where we can open meeting to the public again. Is there anyone there?
I have a question
Yes, I'm sorry.
regarding last time we were moving for this anti-idling awareness on social media. Tara, have you been able to put anything?
I did not do that yet. That I will do though. I'll only put that right here on my list. Yes, I will do that tomorrow. Sorry.
What was it that was going to be done on social media for anti-idling?
Just a link to the Stop the Soot site with a little explanation about, there was like a brochure. I mean, basically it was kind of self-explanatory. I just didn't get it up. Did I send it? I don't think I sent it in even yet, so I'll send it tomorrow.
I thought the Stop the Soot link was on our webpage. I might be wrong about that, but I thought it was already there. If not,
Yeah.
it should be. If not, it should be there.
I think it is also just the website, but this was more of like a posting, like a specific posting.
Yeah, put it
Sure.
on Facebook, right?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Any more on that? Any other questions? All right, we are ready to open to the public again. Any,
What do
No
you mean
public.
again?
no public? Okay.
So there is nothing to open.
Now, do we want to, what do we do? Adjourn and then go into executive session if we want more
So what
discussion
is
on
the
What is left to discuss on executive session?
Well, yeah, we need to just adjourn so nobody can log in.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
can I
don't.
get a motion?
you
We don't
adjourn?
have to go into executive session though, right?
No,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Ed was saying something.
You don't adjourn, you move to go into executive session. And when the session is over, you move to come out of executive session and then you adjourn.
But you have to stop the recording and start it again.
Yes, you stop the recording before the.
Okay,
But we have no reason to go into executive session. Is that what I heard?
yeah, what, we voted last time on who the awardees are, and we got the plaques in order. I mean, they're been ordered, and we wait for November 23rd.
yeah, and there was some discussion about how we do it virtually, but I don't think we need a executive session to do that, do we?
No, we gotta talk to somebody, well, yeah, maybe talk to IT or somebody, or Bob,
Yeah.
Queen.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
should,
so, then we can, get a motion to adjourn.
So
I make a motion to adjourn.
We heard a second?
Yes.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 All who
Aye.
oppose say nay. And